Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bold Book of the Day. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson. This podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today's episode is with my sister, Margaret Parker. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm outstanding.
Yes, you are. I'm going to I'm going to read Margaret's bio, and you guys will get to understand why I love Margaret and why I had to have her share her story in this book. Okay, so Margaret is a daughter, wife, mother, grandmother, international speaker, and consultant, and she gives the best hug. She has traveled the world and loved going to jazz concerts and plays. Today, she loves who she is and where she's going. She's going to tell you how to keep up with her later on. And welcome, Margaret, to the Bold Book of the Day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I had to have you. Your story is so impactful. Your journey is just amazing, inspiring, and it gives so much hope. I had to have you share your message and your story in this book, Becoming Dynamic. Now, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Margaret Parker?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm a woman who has so many different emotions on the inside. And when it comes to crying, my husband always says, she gonna cry, she gonna cry. And it's easy for me to cry because when I feel touched, I weep.
Mm,
So I'm a weeper. I love to cook. I love to cook for my family. I love family gatherings. Um, I love people. Let me say that. I
yes.
love people. And I feel like I love people because I watched my grandparents love on people and the
Mhm,
response that they would get, like, and I see now, I'm just seeing this today. I
mhm,
see now how I'm like my grandparents because they were lovers of God. They
mhm.
loved themselves and they loved people. And I feel like that has been the journey that I've been on. I feel like my entire life.
Tell us about your childhood.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like I had a typical childhood by a single mother.
Mhm.
Okay. So I had to go to church all the time. Like there was no you not going to church. I was at church Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. I'd have to clean the church on Saturday. I'd be at Sunday school. I'd be at church service, and then they had a 7 o'clock church service. So I feel like I was in church all the time. And then my mom had a Thursday night uh, Bible study for Indian kids. And
Mm,
so I feel like my whole life was in church.
yes.
Um, I remember vacation Bible school. I remember it would happen during the summer, like every summer, it would always happen. And there would always be lightning bugs out. And we don't get lightning bugs out here in California, but when I go back to Nebraska, I see lightning bugs and it just reminds me of my childhood.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, to describe your childhood, how would you, what kind of words would you use to describe your childhood? It sounds like you had a rich childhood, but not all the times when we're growing up with these rich childhood, we're aware that it's rich. You know,
Right.
it just is what it is to you. But now that you look back, it just sounds to me like it was a rich childhood. But what was it like for you?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. My sister was 13 years older than me, and my brother was 14
Oh,
years
wow.
older than me. So I really felt like I grew up as an only child. And so I spent
Yeah.
all my time by myself. I remember sometimes when it would rain, I would just go out and dig worms out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. I remember when my mom lived by a where the train would pass us, and I remember walking up and down the train tracks by
Mm-hmm.
myself. Nobody was around.
Yes.
So I had family friends from church that I used to love to go to their house because they had 8 brothers and sisters. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to be one of those little sisters. Like I wanted to be part of the family. And so I would go over to their house a lot as a child. And so I think those were my childhood friends. And I remember when I was in the 4th grade, I drew a picture of myself, my brother, my sister, and all 8 of their siblings. I put
Oh.
all these pictures, and it was in the 4th grade. I totally remember, and I was not embarrassed, not whatsoever, because that was my family.
Yes, you've inserted yourself into that family. And
Absolutely.
and that's because you felt a need. You said that your siblings were 15 and 14 and so far apart in age. So, yeah, you needed to feel like you fit right in, you belong there.
Right.
And
Exactly.
you made sure of that. That's beautiful. Now, I know you're biracial. Tell us
Mhm.
about being biracial, and how was that for you growing up, and how did it how did you manage being biracial as a an adult after going through what you did as a child?
Yeah. Well, I remember as a child when people would ask me what I was, because clearly they knew I was mixed with something. I wasn't all of
Hmm.
any one thing.
Hmm.
And I would always tell them, I'm Native American and Black. Native
Yes.
American and Black. That was my statement as a child because my mother was Native American. And so I didn't grow up with my father. Um, how
Hmm.
my parents even got together, my dad was a doctor
Hmm.
and my mom was in the hospital. Um, she was a cleaner, so she cleaned the hospital. And the only reason why they were able to even be around together because a doctor and somebody cleaning the hospital.
Hmm.
Remember, it was 1968.
Hmm.
1968, and they had the white people break room and the other people break room, and the
Okay.
other people break room is where they had met.
Mixed. Okay, so the white people, whether you were a physician
Mhm.
or a regular worker, did any, any other job in the hospital, you all ate together or break together in that room, and
Yeah,
then the other races break together. So that's how they met.
exactly. That's how they met.
Mm. And then they had this beautiful you.
Yep, they had me. They had me, and so I feel like, so me proudly telling people that I was of mixed heritage, like I feel like I was very prideful with that because I knew that I was Black and I
Hmm.
knew that I was Native American.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so my childhood, growing up, I feel like I was certain in one area and then in another area I wasn't certain. Like I
Yeah.
was certain that I was loved, but I wasn't so certain of my father's family because my parents were never married and I
Hmm.
was never around my father. It was just me and my mom.
Okay.
So I feel like because I didn't have a father, um, I felt like that was stressful as a kid. It was really stressful
Hmm.
because, I had so many different friends that they had 2 parents in their home.
Hmm.
I feel like I felt ashamed that it was just me and my mom and my dad was never around.
As a kid, we take on so much burden, it's so hard to understand because we're not very developed, our minds is not very developed, and so we take on so much without having the full understanding, and we blame ourselves for everything, or we're ashamed, or we feel hurt, and so without even understanding the full context of what's going on, we just take on all of it.
Right.
And then it impacts our decisions, the things that we decide to do and who we become without us even understanding that that's what's going on.
Exactly. That's real. That's
Yeah.
real. And let me say this. That's why when I had children with my children's father, I
Mm-hmm.
made sure that I had all my children by one man. That was
Yes.
important for me because they'll never know the things that I went through as a child. They'll
Yes.
never know the questioning that I had as a child. And so
Mm-hmm.
we were able to raise them. I have three beautiful children, 32, 30, and 22. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just makes me happy that um, I have now seen the light. I'm 55 now, and I'd say when I was 18 and younger, like I was hell on wheels
Mm.
because I was always trying to be accepted. I remember when I first started working with Lisa, and there was a group setting, and we had to say a chant. We had to say a chant, and I my chant was, "I belong, I belong, I belong," because I felt for so long like I didn't belong. I didn't belong
Mm-hmm.
to anybody, and
Yes.
yeah.
Oh man,
So
I
where
understand that feeling.
Yeah. So where I'm at today is I feel good about where I'm at today. And I feel like it was
Yes.
a journey to get to where I'm at.
Yes. You just mentioned Lisa. So let's put into context what this woman is talking about. Okay. So we met at the Dynamic Women's Retreat in the
Mhm.
Bahamas. And this Dynamic Women's Retreat was ran by Lisa Nichols,
Yes.
who is now Lisa Nichols Hall. And when we when we met, I couldn't help. I've listened to so many of the women in the room. I listened to their stories, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh my goodness, something great has to come out of this," because it was so empowering. And you were impactful because you are such a great listener, and you can feel your love just sitting in your presence. I felt your love for
Mhm.
me when we hugged. I don't know, I guess because we had spoken on the phone
Mhm.
before. That hug was so welcoming. That was a deep hug. And so if you guys have never been hugged like that, like a deep hug, like the person is pulling you in and saying,
Mhm.
welcome, you belong. You belong.
Mhm.
That's that hug that you give,
Mhm.
Margaret, that you
Yeah.
belong hug. And now I'm understanding it just hearing your
Mhm.
story. Oh, that's that you belong hug. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that, because I was in that space too where you were. I
Mhm.
felt unwanted. I felt like I didn't belong in the spaces that I, ended up in. So my mother left me with her parents and my father. But my father died 6 weeks after my mother left.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, not long after my father died, I went to stay with my great grandmother, then with my aunt, and with my uncle, and then with another aunt. And then I just kept moving from one home to the next. And
Mm.
I didn't always feel like I belong. Not that they didn't do anything. That that not that they didn't love me and
Right.
provide for me. I just didn't feel like I belonged. I
Right.
felt like this was their home and their family, and I should have my mother. I should have my father. And then all my
Right.
friends, some of my friends were in the same situation where their mother was out of the home too, had gone to foreign. And so I would talk about this to the friends that had the same situation, but most of the girls or the friends that I had, they had parent, they had both mother and father, and some of them
Right.
had both mother and father in the home. And I was like, well, how come I don't have this?
Right.
So, and I, of course, I understand it now in hindsight, but when I was young, it just felt like nobody wants me. uh felt like I did not belong. So I do understand. And those feelings, they impact you so much, especially as a child, that sometimes you can't help but to think about it all the time.
Right.
Did you think about being, you know, not being with your father? Did you think about that all the time?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I did. I feel like the saving grace was that when my mom moved from South Dakota to Lincoln, Nebraska, she ended up going to a multiracial church with
Mm-hmm.
a Black pastor and his wife. And she already had my brother and sister. And so by the time she started going to the church,
Mm-hmm.
um, they really loved my mom. And
Mm-hmm.
what he said was, "You can take our name, McWilliams."
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said, "No, I'm not going to take your name, but I love you."
Yes.
And so she kept her name. And I feel like, I'm telling you, now that I'm looking back, I'm grateful for every
Mm-hmm.
step that my mother took.
Mm-hmm.
It made her who she is today.
Yes.
And so, yeah. So she didn't take his name, but she definitely stayed with him until the day he died. And she stayed with my grandmother until the day she died. My grandmother was 99, and
Oh
I'm her name.
wow.
My name is Margaret Joyce. My grandmother's name and my godmother's name, Margaret Joyce.
Oh wow. Beautiful. What's your
Mhm.
favorite memory as a child, Margaret?
Oh, my favorite memory as a child. I'll tell you this. We were coming back from Omaha, Nebraska, and there was this place called Skeet's Barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Uncle Richard, my mom, Uncle Frank, Daddy Mac, and Mother Mac. We were all coming home from Omaha to Lincoln, and they had got Skeet's Barbecue. Well, we went and sat on, they have the little home where you can sit off on at the side
Mm-hmm.
and eat. I took a whole plate of barbecue and I ate it myself. My uncle was like, "What is she doing? Why did she take all them ribs?" And I just remember saying, "They got these ribs from me." Now, that wasn't the case. I think I was supposed to have shared the ribs, but it was priceless to me because my uncle was shocked. He was totally shocked. And my
Mm-hmm.
grandparents were like, "That's our baby girl. We gonna let her do what she want to do."
Oh, you could
And
do no
just,
wrong, huh?
yeah, exactly. And that's really a sweet memory.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so nice. Who are the most influential people in your life?
I got to tell you, my sister
Oh.
was the number one most special person in my life. My mom had 3 children,
Mm-hmm.
and I would always say we look like Neapolitan ice cream:
Mm.
chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
vanilla, strawberry. And so it wasn't until we took the ancestry test we found out that we had 3 different fathers, which confirmed for me that we were Neapolitan ice cream. So I feel like she really looked out for me. She did my hair in amazing ways. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she always dressed me up really cute. Like, you could tell that she loved me. I felt like I was her child. Um, and she was the one that taught me how to say black power. That
Aw.
Black
Oh.
power.
so she so that's one of the three most influential people for you. Who else?
Absolutely. So I'd say number 2 would be my grandparents, my grandfather, Trago McWilliams, and my grandmother, Margaret McWilliams,
Mm.
because they opened their heart to me. Like, now, they had essentially adopted my mom and my brother and sister, but I was the child that they never got to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I was in a special category. And they would take me shopping when my mom didn't have enough money. Um, they always were looking out for me. Like, every Sunday, we would have dinner at Daddy Mac's house. We would
Yes.
Monday through Friday, we would have dinner at Daddy Mac and Mother Mac's house.
Uh-huh.
So they were very influential for me, particularly when I was in high school, because when you're in high school, I was in sports. I was in track, I was
Mm-hmm.
in volleyball, and I was in basketball. And my grandfather wanted me to be in sports. He didn't want me to be no cheerleader, half dressed.
As he
Right,
said.
right, exactly. And so my grandmother would buy me all my dress clothes. And so they just really loved on me as if they were my parents. But I remember being in high school, um, not going out with all my friends that, they had friends in high school and they would go out and party and have fun. I would
Mm-hmm.
stay at home with my grandparents. I would watch the news with my grandparents. We would just have full ongoing conversations with them. And so they were my buddies.
Yes.
They were my buddies. And then the third person would be my Aunt Bernice from church.
Yes.
She was the mother of the 8 siblings I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes. And I
This
still
was the
talk to her
family
today.
you adopted.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I still talk to her today. So yeah, those are the three people that would be the most important to me.
What have you learned that you can share with that 7-year-old girl and say, "Hey, I've learned this thing."
Wow.
Your 7-year-old self. Mm.
That you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep living.
Yes.
You're going to be okay. You're going to make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Ways will be made for you, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
walk through every door.
Tell that girl, oh, if she could get one of your hugs. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah. My God, that is touching. So I like to take to go back and to just because what we go through at 7 years old
Mhm.
impacts us when we as we get older. And so I like to ask that question because we can give ourselves advice for the future. Just looking back and to see how worried you were and how anxious you were and how distrustful you were, and
Mhm.
now you can tell her it's going to be all right. You're going to make the right decisions. What can you tell your future self?
Oh, wow. Everything's gonna be all right. You just continue to trust God. Trust
Yes.
God. I'm gonna tell you, trust God. He will make a
Yes.
way when you think there is no way. He will make a
Yes.
way out of no way.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, trust God. Ooh,
Exactly.
I love it.
That's really where I'm at in this season. I am
Yes.
literally trusting God with every step that I make.
Yes.
I have watched over the last year and a half, I have watched my relationship with my daughter grow. I've watched
Mhm.
my relationship with my husband grow. I have watched my relationship with, different friends grow.
Yes. Yes.
So it literally has been by trusting God,
Amen. Wow.
trusting God, and trusting God to know when someone isn't good for me. Because not
Mm.
everybody is
Mhm.
good for you.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
everybody
Mhm. No
likes
matter
you.
how bad you want it. Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Like we be praying like God, please remove all, you know, our enemies, or please remove people that are no good for me. And then when you people you like are removed, you're like, wait,
Right.
God, what are you doing? Don't remove this person. But you prayed for it. So,
Exactly.
you just got to let God. I always say that God's protection doesn't look
Yeah,
like how we want it to look. We pray for
exactly.
guidance and God, please put an edge around me and my family. And then when the edge protects you from going to certain things or being in
Yes.
certain places, you're like, whoa, wait, God, no. I want to be there. I planned for this. It's part of what I want for myself. And yet you prayed for his protection, for him to put an edge around you and your family. So, what God has planned for us
Mhm.
doesn't look like our plans for us.
Right. Mm-mm.
you know. So take, just trust God. Trust God,
Right.
even when it doesn't
Absolutely.
look like what you want for yourself. Trust God and just know that He know what He's doing, honey. He's in charge. Always
Yes,
has been,
he does.
always will be.
Woo!
Okay? Always was. He's in
Yes,
charge.
yes.
He's the
So let
man.
me just say this. So, as a child, I felt very frustrated. I often felt angry with my mom
Mm,
because my mom didn't teach me Native American. My mom
hmm.
didn't want me to go to powwows. Like there were a lot of things that my mom didn't allow me to do.
Yes.
Um, so I met a cousin on Ancestry, and she lives like 30 minutes away from me.
Hmm.
I just met her like probably two weekends ago, 2 weekends
So
ago.
your two races are,
Native American
hmm,
and African American.
yes, hmm, and
Yep.
you lived on the
No,
reservation. No,
no, mm-mm,
tell
no.
us about that.
Yeah. So my mom was actually living in Lincoln, Nebraska,
Hmm.
when I was born, but she would often take me back because my mom liked to go back to the reservation and give clothes away. Like my mom is a giver. She would buy clothes from the Goodwill, take the clothes back to the Native American people.
Yes.
My Yeah, my mom had a big heart when it came to her people.
Yes.
So I really identified more with the black side because
Hmm.
of my grandparents. My grandfather was a pastor. And
Yes.
so I really identified with the black people.
Yeah.
And the people's house that I used to go over to, they were all black.
Yes.
And so, the people that I was hanging around was black. And then my mom was Native American and she had Native American Indian school for the natives.
Hmm.
And so I remember I have a picture of me. I'm the only one sitting there smiling. I'm like,
Yes.
because I'm so happy because I'm with my people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like it
But
was
your
it
mother
was
didn't
dual.
take you. Yeah.
It was
She
dual.
wouldn't
And
take
my
you to the
mom,
powwows and she wouldn't take you
no,
on the reservation
mm,
except
no,
for controlled when she could.
right, exactly, exactly. And how she compensated for it was my mom would take me to soul food restaurants because she knew I loved soul food.
Hmm.
So I feel like that was her way of showing me my culture.
Okay.
And so I loved it when she would take me to those restaurants. I'm gonna tell you, I love some black eyed peas. I
Hmm.
love some red beans and rice. I love oxtails, like everything that black people cook, ribs,
Hmm.
love them. And so I feel like the way that she was able to get me to know more about black people was to take me to soul food restaurants.
Ah, okay. So that was her sharing culture with you.
Yes.
Your other side.
Right,
Okay.
exactly, exactly. Because when I was talking to my cousin that I had met a couple weeks ago, I was asking her, I'm like, so what do they eat on the reservation?
Hmm.
She's like,
She
basic.
did your cousin live on the reservation?
She didn't live on the
She
reservation.
visited also. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because her parents were married. They had 5 kids. They left.
But
Anyhow,
her
she
parents
said,
were also mixed. She had black and Indian
yes,
parents. Okay.
yes, her dad was black and her mom was Native American. And so that's what really attracted me to her. I'm like, oh my goodness. So she told me what they used to eat, and it was very similar to what my mom would fix. My mom would
Mm-hmm.
fix pinto beans.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would cook a lot of stews, and
Mm-hmm.
my mom would make fried bread, which is why when she'd take me to the soul food restaurants, I would just eat everything up because it wasn't, I call it boring food. It's not
Mm-hmm.
boring, but when I was a child, I preferred to eat Big Macs.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the reason why I didn't like going to the reservation because I could eat a Big Mac if I was in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you were on Rosebud Reservation, they don't have no McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
So
They had
that's why
pinto beans.
right, exactly. Exactly. And it's really good.
So what did you give your future self a chance to have this relationship that you didn't have as a child with your now newfound cousin? Did you give yourself permission to like just enjoy and learn more about, both sides?
Absolutely. I feel like I have such a deep connection with her because
Mm,
for me, I feel like it's been the biggest blessing of my life because somebody has my story. Somebody is Black and Native American, just like me. And so to
yes.
hear all of the things that she went through, um, when she was a child, she didn't like being called the N word.
Mm-hmm.
And so she got into a lot of fights. Hence, she wasn't able to go into the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
She went into the Navy. She did a successful career. And it was just a blessing to see my duality of life because
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather was a minister, and so I was in church all the time. I
Yes.
don't know what she was doing, but she wasn't in church all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like just the duality and then just to look at our lives at how we are today, it makes me so grateful for everything that my mom has ever done for me.
Yes.
Everything that my mom has ever done for me. I remember looking at a picture of me. I was in the 3rd grade and they had a cultural dance. And
Mm-hmm.
I had my shawl and I had 2 little ponytails. Well, I was standing with some crisp Native American girls, and you could tell I didn't know what the heck I was doing. My shawl was just it was on me, but theirs was like there's a particular way that you wear a shawl.
You
I didn't know
didn't
that.
know that, right?
And I was just happy because I was with my people. I was doing something
Yes.
with my people.
Yes.
And
That
so
you wanted so badly. Yeah.
I did. I really did. And so again, I'm grateful for the life that my
Mm-hmm.
mom led, the things that my mom taught me. Like, I'm grateful because my mom is a Christian. Honey, she's a
Mm-hmm.
diehard Christian, honey. She prays for all of her children, her grandchildren, her great grandchildren every day without
Mm-hmm.
fail. And
Amen.
so a lot of the things that my mom did for me, like I have a childhood photo album. And when I was younger, I was so angry at my mom that she was in not many of my pictures.
Mm-hmm.
When I had my kids, what do you think I did?
Mm.
I became a photographer so my children could see that I have thousands of pictures of my children.
Yes.
Each one of them, Alan, Trago, and Jade, I have thousands of
Mm-hmm.
pictures of them. Why? Because that's what my mom did for me.
Yes.
But now that I'm 50 years old, 55 years old, and I'm turning around and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my gosh,
You're
this
not in their pictures.
paved the way for me.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't in the pictures because she was
Taking
taking
the
the
pictures.
pictures.
Yes. That is deep because a lot of times you blame somebody for not being there for you when they were not just being there for you, they were giving you all that they could, all that they have,
Yes,
you know?
yes,
And that's your mom. She was giving you all that she had, and she wanted to savor the moment and capture the moment so that you can have it for the future.
yes.
But she couldn't be both in the picture and taking the picture. I mean, not then. Now we know. Selfie stick.
Right. Selfies. Ah! Yes.
Tell us about, because your chapter in the book is really about your mother and your story with your mother. Tell us about your chapter in the book and why you felt the need to write that message.
You know what? I feel like I needed to write that chapter in the book because I was exposing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people look at me, they don't know necessarily what I am. I've
Mm-hmm.
been told I'm Black and Chinese, I'm Black and Filipino, I'm Black and Puerto Rican. Like I've been told I'm so many other things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I just wanted to share with people about being biracial.
Yeah, Black and Native American. Yeah,
Yes,
not
yes.
not what you think, but what I really am.
Exactly, exactly. And I was so proud to tell people that when I was a child. And so I feel like I haven't changed. I'm still
Hmm.
proud to tell people.
But I also feel that that chapter was dedicated to your mother.
Mhm.
Tell us why you felt that you had to dedicate that to your mother.
I felt like I had to dedicate it to her because of all that my mother has done for me.
Hmm.
As a child, I was very, I'd say I was frustrated, I was angry at the things that I thought that she wasn't doing for me.
Hmm.
And today I have a completely different story. Today I have so much gratitude for my mom. Like
Hmm.
I am continually telling her, "Mom, thank you for not aborting me. Mom, thank you for giving me another way of life that
Hmm.
I had no clue of. Thank you for being a Christian that gave me the right way to go." Like,
Yes.
I'm really grateful for my mom for what she instilled in me as a child.
Yes.
And like my mom did for me, I did the same thing for my children. Now, they might be angry with me because I made them go to church all the They might have a few other words for me, but I just,
Okay.
you just keep living. Just keep living. That's what my grandmother would always say. She's like, Margaret Joyce, you just keep on living. Just keep
Keep
on
on
living. And that's
living.
the same thing I will tell my children. Just keep living. Because
What's the
I
biggest
know,
lesson you learned from your mother?
mm, I feel like the biggest lesson that I've learned from my mom
Hmm.
is to pray.
That's
I feel like
important.
that's been the biggest lessons because when she'd be going through stuff, she'd be praying. She would be praying. I remember on Saturday mornings and we'd have to clean the house and she would have Mahalia Jackson blaring through the house.
Ooh, the
Honey,
real, real. Okay.
real, real. So yeah, and yeah, my mom taught me how to pray. And let me say
Yeah.
this, she taught me how to clean. If I don't know how to do anything, honey, I know
You can clean a house.
I can clean a house. Yes, ma'am.
What's the biggest lesson you taught your children?
Oh my. I feel like what I taught my children was, and I would tell all three of them, I'd say,
Hmm.
Alan, it's your responsibility to take care of Trago and Jade. Trago, it's your responsibility to take care of Alan and Jade. Jade, it's your responsibility to take care of Alan and Trago. Because
Okay.
when I get old and I die, you
Hmm.
guys are going to have to take care of each other.
Yes. So you have
Yes.
instilled that in them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Of course, that's important. That's nice. That's
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly. Because remember, I grew up as an only child.
Yes.
By the time I think I was 8 or 9 when my sister got married and she
Hmm.
left. And I remember when she left, like my heart was so broken because
Oh.
I couldn't go see my sister. She couldn't do my hair. Like I'm telling you, from 10 to 12, that was a tough time because I had to learn how to do my own hair.
What how old were you when your sister got married?
I think I was 8 or 9.
Oh. Okay, so you had to
Mm-hmm.
she was a grown woman now.
Yep.
She had her own responsibilities. She couldn't just continue to just be your big sister only.
Exactly. She moved out to California far, far
Oh,
away.
she moved.
Mhm. She moved far, far away.
Yes, I remember that. I remember you telling that. I remember that. Oh my goodness, that must have been devastating for you.
It was hard. It
Yes.
was hard
And I
because
remember you wanted to move out there with her from the
I
story you told.
did. When I was
Yes.
a junior in high school, I wanted to move out to California with my sister because her
Guys, you
husband
got to read this book. Oh, yes, there's so much. It's a great story you tell of your family life.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So I wanted to move out when I was a junior in high school, and my mother would
Mhm.
not let me. If there was anything that my mom ever said to me, it was no. I ask for something, no. I'd ask for something again, no. So when I asked to move out to California, she was like, nope. So
Mm-mm.
2 days after I graduated high school, I moved to Oceanside, California. Yep, my
You didn't
husband,
need
my
her permission at that time.
no, I
I'm
wasn't
out of school.
asking.
I'm
I
out.
was
Nope.
18. I could do what I want to
Mm-mm.
do.
I'm 18. I'm grown. I'm
Exactly. So
moving out to California, and I'm gonna be with my sister because I wanted, because I said so, because I'm grown.
that was really it.
Yeah. And it's, that's nice that you felt like, okay, I'm old enough and I have the autonomy. Because some people, they get to 18 and they still feel overruled by their parents or the people in charge of, them at the
Hmm.
time. They don't feel that freedom. They don't get that feeling of empowerment. So
Right.
that's good that no matter what, your mom said a lot of no's, but you still felt like you had enough power at this point
Oh,
to
absolutely.
make those decisions. And that's the beauty of the work that your mother did in you.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much, Margaret, for coming and for sharing and
Hmm.
for telling the people about this book and for telling them about your chapter. It is inspiring, you guys. She talked about, of course, being biracial, being Native American and Black American, and the struggle at the time, and how her mother did the best she can. And it was like
Yes.
a love story to your mom. You really need to read this. And so, if there's anyone out there that you've had a similar life where you have parents, you're a mixed child yourself, you're of mixed race. And if you're of mixed race, sometimes you don't know where you belong. You don't feel like you're centered because you don't know if you're more this or more that. But you are 50% of both parents. And so
Right.
you're 100% you. And you have the responsibility of taking care of you, putting yourself out there, growing, developing yourself, and just being the best version of yourself. And that's your responsibility, 100%. So
Absolutely.
listen to Margaret's story, read her chapter, and let it inspire you and give you hope so that you can be the best version of yourself. Work on yourself and get
Yes.
around people that can help you feel good about who you are despite you not knowing 100% of where you belong. Just
Yes.
get around people that can make you feel good about who you are now, because there's greatness in each and every one of us. And when we
Yes.
work on ourselves, our greatness comes out. It is only
Yes.
inside until you open up. And when you open up, just like the oyster, your greatness will be right there. And it's like a light to the world, something that you can serve up to the world. And it is beautiful, and someone needs it. So don't keep that
Hmm.
greatness in you, share it with the world. Okay, put your
Absolutely.
light on a pedestal so that it can give hope and be and give shine a path for other people so they can find themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Before you go, there are three questions I like to ask all my guests. So if you've been listening to my podcast,
Hmm.
you know I like to ask these questions because I'm nosy and I like to know. And I like to know what y'all are up to. And so that you can, come back next time and tell us about your future endeavors. So one of the questions I love to ask is, what is a bold promise that you can share with the world that will help them live a better life?
Oh my. You've got to love yourself.
Oh,
So let
yes.
me say this. So when I talk to people, I tell them that I love them
Mm-hmm.
and I mean it. But every morning I got to tell Margaret Joyce Packer that I love you. I say to myself
Mm-hmm.
in the mirror, I love you. I
Yes.
love you, Margaret. I actually had to take a class because I feel like I was doing stuff for so many people that I had to find me. And so it was through that class when they were talking about you got to excavate and, you know, get to the bottom of who you are. I was just like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And when I found me, I was so in love with who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Every decision, the way I am, um, I love me. And so I'm
Yes.
going to tell you, when you love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you will put you at the top of your list.
Won't
You
you?
will be the first person that you need to take care of before you take care of everybody else. You got to
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself. Love
Yes.
yourself.
Gems, gems. Write this down because that is so important. When
Mhm.
you love yourself and you put yourself first, people might say, "Oh, you're selfish," but that's okay.
Well, because let me say this, actions speak louder than words, honey.
Love
Actions
it.
speak
Yes.
louder than
And you
words.
show that you love yourself by
Mhm.
taking these actions and showing people, okay? By
Exactly.
doing things, okay?
Exactly. That's like I've released 40 pounds since the beginning of the year.
You
Why?
look amazing. I wanted to say it, girl. I should have said it, but I didn't want to say it out here up in the public,
Mhm.
John public. But you look amazing. And I didn't know you
Thank you.
lost, so much weight, but you look like you're a total new person. I remember when I met you, you were walking because I got up and walked with y'all in the morning.
Mhm. Yep.
Wow. So
Yep. So I drink a
that's a
gallon of water
lot of
every day.
weight.
I drink a gallon of water a day, and I walk anywhere from 3 to 6 miles every day for my health. I
Yes.
do it for my health because I love me.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you're
Yes,
showing, you're
ma'am.
taking actions to show that you love you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I have two more questions. What is
Okay.
a bold statement you can share with your audience that you know will cause a paradigm shift?
Mm. For you to know everything that you're going through is not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Hmm.
Everything that you're going through is happening for you, not to
Yes.
you.
Wow.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I hear that all the time, right? And I remember when I heard that when I was much younger, and I was a little bit upset. I did not like to hear that because I've
Mhm.
been through some stuff. And
Mhm.
I did not want to think that I went through those things and they were for me. Like I couldn't accept it then.
Mhm.
But now that I'm more mature and I understand how you can really stand on your story, stand on your experiences, stand on the
Yes.
trauma, stand on the neglect, stand on the
Mhm.
shame. You can really use whatever it was that you've gone through as a catalyst for your success. So now I'm beginning to embrace that theory even more, that
Right.
everything that you have gone through, it wasn't just happening to you, it was for
Right.
you. So thank you so much
Exactly.
for sharing that. I have one more
Exactly.
question.
I
Yes, go
want to
ahead.
say that I think it was as a result of the 2 strokes that I had,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I needed to make an intervention for Margaret Packer, and I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
I was consistent with the walking, I wasn't consistent with drinking a gallon of water a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like the 2 strokes were a wake-up call
Yes.
for me to take care of myself
Consistently.
consistently. So,
Mm-hmm.
while I had the strokes, they happened for me because now today at 55, I'm living a completely different lifestyle than I was
Yes.
when I was 50.
You're healthier than ever.
Healthier than ever, and that's my commitment to myself is that
Yeah.
I will walk 3 to 6 miles every day. I will drink a gallon of water every day.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
I have one more question.
Oh my goodness, okay.
What's a bold move you'd like to make in the future?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to tell you, as a result of writing this chapter,
Mm-hmm.
I realize that I'm going to use the voice that God gave me.
Amen.
I'm going to write a book.
Ooh! Yes! Yes! Woohoo!
With with all of my lessons. Like I've taken so many classes. I've taken NLP. I've taken NLP with Tad James. I did coaching training with Sean Smith. Like I have
Yes.
done a lot of things to refine myself. And so I just want to put it in a book and
Yes.
leave it for a legacy.
Yes. I believe that that story is going to change some lives, Margaret.
I
You've been through some things and you've learned some stuff that you can share with people that will really change their lives, impact them, and give them hope. So thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. Oh my
absolutely.
goodness, this has been so much fun. Yes, this has been really fun, and I love it. I love that you can come here and share a little bit of your world and
Mhm.
share a little bit to the audience about how they too can live a better life, how you can change from the anger, the hurt, the pain, and just, you know, forgive and move on and find love and live a good life.
Right.
Margaret, where can our audience connect with you so they can fall in love with you just like I have fallen in love with you?
Well, I am the chocolate pearl on Instagram.
Uh-huh. Yes, I love that handle.
And on Facebook, I am Margaret Packer. And you
Hmm.
can also send me an email, mrspacker2010@gmail.com.
Yes. Say that again.
Mrs. Packer
Uh-huh.
2010 at gmail.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, if you're out there and you're listening and you'd like to write a book and publish it, please send me an email at
Mhm.
authordnicholson@gmail.com. Thank you so much for sharing, Margaret. I love you and thank you for that deep hug that you gave me at the Dynamic Women's Retreat. I can't wait to see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us on June 23rd for our
Mhm.
in person book launch where we will be signing our books and giving it to you. Well, you're going to be buying. But we will be signing a bunch of our authors are coming out and we are going to be signing that book. So come on out so you can be a part of this beautiful celebration. And we'll see you. That's going to be in Nanuet, New York at the Barnes and Noble. So come on out and join us. Okay. And
Exactly.
or you can go to Becoming Dynamic website, the Becoming Dynamic book website. Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
All
As
right.
I'm loving myself, I'm loving you.
Oh, you're the sweetest. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.